On a regular day, a lady named Johanna goes outside to dispose of something wrapped in a sheet. Her daughter Claire heads out to ride her bike with her dog, Max. Later, when Claire returns home, she discovers Johanna attempting to harm herself in the attic. The next morning, teenage Claire wakes up from this scary dream. She prepares for school, rides her bike there, and spots her uncle, August, who her dad forbids her from talking to for some reason. Claire gets distracted and almost gets hit by a popular girl named Darcy. She only ends up with a scraped knee and a torn legging. When Claire arrives at school, she spots her dad Jonathan dumpster diving with his friend, Carl, which embarrasses her. She tells him to leave, then hangs out with her friends June Acosta and Meredith McNeil. Claire has a crush on a popular guy named Paul. Meanwhile, Darcy, the mean girl, insults Claire and spills her drink on her. Later at home, Claire finds her dad has discovered a big music box. Inside, she reads that the box grants 7 wishes. She doesn't take it seriously. The following day at school, Claire, June, and Meredith laugh as Darcy and her mean friends pass by. When Darcy asks why they're laughing, Claire insults her, leading to a physical altercation between them. When Claire gets home, she takes the music box and sort of wishes for Darcy to go rot. The next morning, after a wild party at her place, Darcy wakes up to find parts of her hands, feet, and face looking really rotten. Rumors spread at school that Darcy got necrosis from a spa, and everyone thinks Claire's wish came true. However, the next day, Claire finds her dog, Max, dead under the deck and she and Jonathan bury him. Feeling down about Max and still longing for Paul, Claire decides to wish for Paul to fall in love with her. When she returns to school, Paul shows interest in her, even in front of his girlfriend, Lola. At Uncle August's place, the old man is getting ready for a bath. He fills the tub, steps in, but slips and hits his head on the side. He wakes up briefly but hits his head again on the nozzle and dies. When Claire learns about August's death, she asks her dad if he left them any money. Jonathan doesn't think so. Since they need money, Claire wishes to the music box that August had left everything to her. The next day, Jonathan tells Claire that August did leave her everything. They move into a big house and start driving fancy cars. Jonathan gives Claire his credit card so she can treat her friends to a shopping spree. Paul breaks up with Lola and immediately asks Claire out. She needs some time to consider it. Meanwhile, the Shannons' former neighbor Mrs. DeLuca is at home cooking. She accidentally drops something into the garbage disposal and reaches in to retrieve it, while the pots on her stove start burning. Mrs. DeLuca manages to turn off the stove but then leans over the sink again. Her ponytail gets caught in the disposal, and when she accidentally switches it on, it yanks her hair and breaks her neck. Claire is still embarrassed by her dad's dumpster diving hobby. She wishes for him to be less embarrassing. Suddenly, Jonathan becomes a cool saxophone player. Claire asks her friend Ryan for help deciphering the phrase on the music box and its history. They visit his cousin, Gina, in her loft and learn that the box has been passed down for generations, but they can't translate the phrase. Gina sends it off to someone for an answer. Later that night, Gina is alone when she gets an email with the translation, which freaks her out. Trying to call Ryan, she hears a slam behind her, dropping her phone. The power goes out, and in the dark, she trips and falls onto a bull statue's horn. At school, Claire is now dating Paul, but his friends don't seem interested in her since he broke up with Lola for her. Claire wishes to become the most popular girl in school. She's invited to a party with Paul, where they have fun until she catches him talking to other girls and spying on her. She leaves him. Ryan discovers Gina's phone and rushes to her loft, where he finds her dead. He informs Claire at school that the phrase on the box translates to "when the music stops, the price is paid in blood." He accuses Claire of causing Gina's death with her wishes, but she denies it, though Ryan doesn't believe her and criticizes her for being selfish. Claire goes to Mrs. DeLuca's house and finds her dead body. She confides in June and Meredith about the box and her wishes. Meredith scolds her for not using the wishes for good, while June advises her to get rid of the box. Claire considers it but ultimately decides to keep it, just in case. While Claire is sleeping, Paul breaks into her room to talk about their relationship. When Claire makes it clear it's over, Paul cuts his wrist. He's taken to the hospital afterward. Later, the girls hang out at a hotel. Jonathan calls Claire to say he's going to a gig but ends up with a flat tire. The scene alternates between Jonathan changing the tire and Meredith playing a phone app alone. Claire admits to June that she didn't get rid of the box. Meanwhile, Jonathan narrowly avoids an accident with drag racers, fixes his tire, but then the spare tire is hit by a car, nearly decapitating him. Simultaneously, the elevator malfunctions, plummeting to the ground and killing Meredith. June blames Claire for what happened. Ryan, who hears about the accident, comforts Claire and takes her to his house to share his research. He reveals that the box's history is dark. The original owner cursed it because her family suffered under a dictator, and she wanted revenge. Ryan explains that everyone who's used the box has ended up dead. He mentions a man who used it to improve his life, only for tragedy to strike his family. Despite burning his house with the box inside, it survived. Ryan also reveals that this man used to live near Claire's house. Claire and Ryan attempt to destroy the box themselves, trying burning it and hitting it with sledgehammers, but nothing works. Claire wrestles with the consequences of her wishes and the idea of undoing them. Eventually, the wishes are undone when the music box disappears from where Claire hid it. Claire and Jonathan lose their money because Uncle August didn't pay his taxes, so they move back to their old house. Claire learns that June took the box from her room to try to get rid of it, but Claire takes it back. In the scuffle, Claire accidentally pushes June down the stairs at school. Ryan tries to convince Claire to stop making wishes, but she insists on keeping the box to make one more wish. Frustrated and feeling overwhelmed, Claire struggles to resist making another wish, but she eventually wishes that her mother never committed suicide. Suddenly, she hears Johanna's voice and embraces her mother, who is now alive. Claire discovers she also has younger twin sisters in this new timeline. However, her joy is short-lived when she sees Jonathan outside under a tree, where Carl is attempting to cut a branch with a chainsaw. Claire rushes outside to warn her dad, but Carl's ladder becomes unstable, causing him to accidentally swing the chainsaw down and decapitate Jonathan. Claire screams at the box, expressing her desire to use her last wish to go back to the day her dad found it. Claire wakes up on the day her dad found the box. Her dog Max is beside her on the bed. She calls Meredith to hear her voice, even though Meredith is annoyed at being woken up. Claire asks Jonathan if she can join him and Carl as they go looking for things. Claire finds the box in a bin, wraps it in a sheet, and takes it with her. Before heading to school, she tells her dad she loves him. Claire finds Ryan and hands him the box, explaining that she knows Gina and believes they can decipher its message together. She suggests they get rid of it. Claire also makes dinner plans with Ryan and kisses him in front of June and Meredith. She walks off happily, but then Darcy accidentally hits her with her car. All the students look on in horror as Claire lies dead on the windshield. In the after-credits scene, Ryan finishes digging a hole to bury the box. After glancing around, he retrieves the box from the bag Claire gave him. He notices the Chinese letters and murmurs, 7 wishes,